Okay, hello everybody. I'm looking a bit tired and a bit out of sorts because I've just had a big angry outburst, which feels pretty, yeah, okay, let me start again. This video is about me feeling angry. No, it's not. It's about anger. It's about anger, and I feel like it's the right time to do it now because I'm angry. So, firstly, why am I angry? Okay, firstly, what happened? So, hubby told me to do something, I did it, and then, like hubbies do sometimes, he had a go at me for doing what he told me to do. I don't know if your hubby does that too, or your wife, or whatever, but it gets really annoying, and it's happened a few times, and I got so pissed off because early in the morning and I'm tired, and I was not prepared to be had a go at for something that he told me to do. Now, the reason I'm making this video is because something very interesting happened while I was angry. And I didn't realize until now how closely related to emotions or states of emotion are. And those two emotions are anger and compassion. And even the word compassion makes me feel angry when I think about it, but it's more of an energy for me because I feel a lot of stuff in my body. So it's, for me, a word isn't just a word, I actually feel it. So for me, anger feels like fire in my belly, and for me, compassion feels like a calmness and an understanding that I don't need to understand with my head. My body understands it, and it reacts. So it responds by slowing down the heartbeat, and my breathing goes slower, and I feel more grounded, I feel more present, I just feel calmer. It's something that I'm still exploring, but compassion, like the Buddha obviously is known very much so for compassion. And I think it's an exploration that is worth, for myself, for others, of course, for doing, because when you bring compassion into a situation, the whole situation changes and everything about it changes, and how you respond and how you react changes. So lots of people think that anger is an unhealthy emotion. Now, I grew up in a family where there was a lot of anger from another person, and so everybody else wasn't allowed to be angry. So if I had any anger as a child, I had to repress it. If anybody in the family had anger as a child or as an adult even, then they had to repress it. There was no option, because if we didn't repress it, then we were in danger. So when I first started exploring anger, it was a very scary place for me. And I know it's scary for a lot of people, because in society we tend to shame anger, and we tend to say anger's not okay, or it's not an okay reaction, or whatever. But what people don't realize is that anger is extremely necessary, and it's very, very healthy. And in fact, a person who does not feel angry about things that they're entitled to feel angry about, well, two things will happen. Firstly, that situation will never change, or might change, but it's harder to change. And secondly, they are blocking a fire. Okay, so if we talk about anger as fire instead, which is what my lovely Egyptian proven teacher taught me, is that when I was exploring anger, and I had a real what's the word? The word anger for me was tainted, because it meant something like violence, or like being shouted at or being abused or whatever. That's what it meant to me, when in fact that's only one way that anger, that the fire can be used. The fire of anger is a really powerful, is one of the most powerful parts of a human being that exists, I believe. And if it's used in the correct way, if it's used in a way that is coming from the pure source, like the pure fire of anger, with it's a very cleansing. If you think of fire, okay, you know, think about people sitting around a campfire, right, and sharing that space, and being warmed by the fire, and it burning away whatever, you know, just cleansing the air, cleansing the energy of the space. You will never leave a fire without feeling lighter. And that's because fire burns away heavy energy. It burns away the old, and it burns away things that are not necessary for that person anymore, or that person is ready to let go of. And it makes space for them to move to the next step of their life, or the next level, or the next, you know, exploration of themselves. It burns away what you don't need anymore, basically. But in addition to doing that, in addition to its cleansing and purifying abilities, what else it does is it actually so it clears the space, purifies, and it changes. So it, say for example, there's a situation, okay, now this is what a lot of men and women have done in the past. They've gotten angry at their partner, but instead of having an outburst like I did just now, they hold on to their anger and they don't say anything. Okay, now I'm not saying go and have a flipping rear up at your partner. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is there are times when the other person does something that is not right. And I'm not just talking about partners, I'm talking about bosses or friends or relatives or just people on the street, you know. And I'm not saying go out and be angry, but I'm saying don't hold it in. There are healthy ways to express anger. There are healthy ways to use anger. Anger can be a very creative force. It can create new things. Like I said, it can change situations. And I'll give you an example. So, for example, you know, just now, hubby is acting just stupid. And I say, you're acting stupid, like really angrily. The fire was building up inside me, and I hadn't said anything for like 15 minutes. And that was it. I was like, no, that is it. And I just flipping had a go at him. And having a go was like the volcano erupting. But the most important thing is that it happened on the spot. I didn't need to wait 10, 20 years down the line to erupt. I wasn't holding it in for all that time. And what holding in anger does is it kills a person from the inside. For people that don't know, anger is destructive if you contain it. It's like holding in a volcano, right? A lot of people that have anger, they might find that they have digestive trouble because you're holding it in your belly, or they might find that they've got other health medical conditions because they're holding it in. There are safe ways to release anger, and one of them is, you know, ideally you do it on the spot. So if there's whatever, if you can't change the situation, you're just feeling overloaded with anger, you go and you flipping punch a pillow, you whack something, you go and have a tantrum. I've played rock music in the past, and I've laid down on the floor and I've had a tantrum like a 3-year-old, and it's been amazing at releasing anger, right? Just lashing out on the floor, just being a baby, basically. Kick a pillow, punch something, you know, like something soft. Obviously, don't damage yourself. My body therapy lady, she gave me a big gripping bat and a soft, you know, it was cushioned, but like a soft place to whack it onto. And there's ways to actually, with psychotherapy or with you know, therapy, is to actually get it out physically of your body by making sounds, making a position. I mean, it's very vocal. You could be, I don't know if you can be angry without being vocal, to be honest, because it's an eruption. Do volcanoes erupt quietly? Not really, you know. So, you know, I've seen it somewhere where somebody recommended when you need to scream, you go out into the ocean. If you're in Australia, I'm not in Australia, so I can't do that. You go out into the ocean and you go far away, you flipping scream and you lash out of the water. Like, there's things to do. But also, like I said, it's a creative energy. So this is something very specific that I'm going to talk about, which might not be applicable to everybody, but some people, including myself and including members of my family, they have actually a great access to the divine fire. Okay, now it's inside all of us, so in a way it is applicable to all of us, but some people really channel this energy very naturally. Okay, So the divine fire is like this creative, dynamic, purifying, transcendental, changing sort of energy, right? That it can be used for creative projects, for life, just for moving around in life, creating new situations, and just for everyday living in peace and bliss. And this sounds weird because it's a fire, so it can feel like anger. So how can it feel like peace and bliss at the same time? Well, just very briefly, because it is more of a specific subject, the fire, the divine fire, can be mistaken for anger. So sometimes if you're feeling angry and you don't know why, consider for a second, is this actually anger? Is this actually anger? Just question, because sometimes it isn't, and it's just that it feels like anger and it's actually something else. A very other quick point to make is that most of the time underneath anger there's something else. There's grief, or I don't know, sadness, or some other emotions, sometimes love. There's going to be really deep emotions under the anger. So the anger is just on the surface, but underneath, at the bottom of the volcano, there's other stuff. So if you do these explorations, then yes, you can definitely go to a professional. They do it in a gentle way. If you feel you've got enough tools and you're equipped yourself, you can always gently, just tap away at it. So I did actually finish what I was saying about the change, because that's important. Anger is an emotion of change. Okay, now every other emotion, like as far as I'm aware, they do lots of different things. Yeah, so they'll change a person's not change a person's situation, but they'll help a person have experiences, right? But fire is the greatest changer of anything, because it's so purifying and it removes the old stuff and moves it aside. It's created a change already, right? So let me think of an example. So somebody is really angry at work, they don't like their job, they're really depressed and they hate it, and then one day their boss just says one thing and that's it, they flip out. Now that anger that comes out is just so pure and so forceful that it shifts everything. The boss might stand back a minute and go, oh, okay, hang on, how do I deal with it? But the person might themselves actually just say, you know what, I'm really pissed off with this. I actually don't want this job. I'm going. And they might pack up their stuff on the day, full of this fire energy that gives them the energy and the power to do that, and just move out of their office, and that's it. They have no job. But then what they've done is they've created the opportunity for something new, for a new job, for something new in their life. That thing was old anyway, but none of the other emotions was going to change that. Sadness wasn't going to change it. I don't know. Other emotions wouldn't have changed it, but anger did, right? So I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm going to stop here. But I just thought, look, while I'm in it, I'll make this video now, and thank you for listening. And yeah, any comments, whatever, you're welcome to leave, etc. Thank you.